I get you.
And you gotta use your finger. I have the pen, but you gotta use the butt of the pen to make some sense. Ooh, dang, that color's impossible to see. What a lovely blue. Just wondering. Don't know what you get. Sign language means. Worthless pen. People try to write on it this way. Doesn't work. This way. I'll show you. He's writing at the moment and it's working, so I'll just. Okay, everyone can tell that it's not me writing on the board because the handwriting's legible. Okay, so first concept, factoring by grouping, algebra 2 concept. And then, once you do that first step of factoring, you end up with a perfect square is one of the factors, which factors again. So we're getting, yeah, welcome to my world, haha. I mean, oh, what a bummer. So he gets 3 different factors, and then where does tangent equal root 3? Well, tangent's positive in 2 quadrants. Sebastian, which 2 quadrants is tangent positive in?
1 and 3.
1 and 3. So we need that angle that has root 3. Where's tangent root 3? What reference angle? Pi over 3. And so if we were told also we need a 3rd quadrant, so what is that? 4 pi. 4 pi over 3. And then you've got tangent equals plus or minus 1. What's the reference angle for tangent is 1? Pi over 4. So we need all the pi over 4s, which would be 1 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. All of them are. So if you forget plus minus, if you didn't do that, you're going to throw away 2 answers. First period asked, do I have to show that factored? No. But you do need to know that you are checking for where it's positive and negative.
Like, I just need to tell you this class that I'm going to counselors. They're going to so for this, I need to, I don't know, because I was thinking, God, then I need to talk to the counselor. And this is like the lateral group you don't need. You just need to change my attendance.
The sign is negative root 3 over 2. The sign is negative 1 half. It's a negative. Yeah, unit circle. How do you erase this?
You fixing?
That should be 4 pi over 3.
Okay, what did it say?
5 pi over 3.
Okay.
I'll make mistakes.
I make a lot of them, they're recorded. Yeah.
Is there a limitation that you would want?
I don't care.
Okay.
And neither does AP. And again, I'm an AP grader, they don't care.
So you can
This
just
is,
write x equals and then things with
Yep.
the commas? Okay.
and this is a set, meaning here are all the options that X could be. You don't need the little curly Q things.
Okay, thank you.
I don't care. don't care, don't care. But you're right to ask, because sometimes they're really particular. And, by being a grader, I have learned some of those particular things. If you say, because this, then I know that, versus because this and that, they get ornery. I will point them out when they come up. All right, so you have a quiz tomorrow. The kinds of questions I've been getting are the worthless ones, which are, how many points is it? Doesn't matter, there's some. A quiz is worth 20 to 30 points-ish. A test is worth 40 to 50 points-ish. So, yes, no? The quiz is actually written, it's usually not the night before. Question? Yeah.
How many questions is it?
A lot,
Okay.
543.7.
Okay.
Again, it's useless questions, because I mean, if this is one question, that's a hell of a one question, versus just, hey, when is sine 0? So, doesn't matter how many questions. There's some beefy ones, and then there's some slim ones. Those of you who have extended time, which there's a lot of you in here who have extended time, and some of you are going on the music thing to show elementary school people how, like, what bios look like, something, I don't know. So, if you're going to miss class on a day of an assessment, let me know in advance, and my preference is that you take it, like, if you're going on that field trip, if you take the quiz before you guys go, like, come in early in the morning. Those that have extended time in this class period, first period I ask you to come in before school, 7th period I ask you to stay after, 4th or 5th I ask you to stay into lunch or come early in lunch. You guys are screwed. Because you gotta go to your 5th period class, your 7th period class, so if you have extended time, I will have a piece of the quiz due at lunch, which I want you to do before you come in this period, and then I'll give you the other piece during class. Because you're not allowed to see the whole quiz, look at it, and have it percolating in your brain, and then come back and do it again. So, if you have extended time, that's the deal, and if we can talk about it one-on-one, if you're concerned about that. Okay, there was a question I ignored yesterday because it just didn't have the energy. Can you try 37?
this, fortunately, you wanted us to do, so we don't get mixed up with the, just go over. Okay, thank you.
Okay, first thing here. Okay, so yesterday when it was an equal sign, either A was 1 or A was -1. Well, now that it's an inequality, either nothing changed, A was less than 1, or the opposite of A was less than 1. Now that it's an inequality, when I multiply an inequality by a negative, what happens? You guys are like flippity flippy. So you flip the sign of this, you flip the direction of that symbol, flip this, everybody's sign, including the symbol. All right, well, I don't like. I'm gonna just rewrite it. It was -1. The little pointy guy was pointing at the 1, so I'm gonna keep it pointing at the 1. Okay, so if the little alligator's pointing at the jail bars, positive, negative, alligator, alligator. Sorry, I have taught 5th grade for about a week. Let's just say I should not be around very young. I'm not especially sensitive. So alligator, alligator, that's how you deal with these. That's the extent of our lesson on how to deal with absolute values. Add 2 to everybody. I don't want to know the bounds of x squared, I want to know the bounds of x. What do I do from here? Do what? Take the square root. Well, okay, what's the square root of -3? Doesn't exist. And in calculus, this calculus, we do not deal with imaginary numbers, we do get to throw it out. Yeah, who? So this guy is gone. All right. Well, that one, can I just do the square root of 7 on, like, alligator, alligator, that? Yes. And if you don't agree or don't see why, a defense on inequalities, I'm gonna make it equals. When does x equal this? Plus or minus 7. I'm gonna do a number line. And I'm gonna check the number line and say, 0, does that work and make this thing true? Yes, it does. 9,000, check. 9,000 squared is too big, too big. This is the region I want. Do I want closed brackets or open?
What do you mean?
Let's go back to the original question.
Parentheses.
Do I include the endpoints or not?
No.
No, because it was not an equal sign there. So, someone just asked, do you want the answer like this or do you want the answer like that? AP accepts either one. I prefer interval notation down there. But they're both right, I will take both. Okay. Any other questions related? Yeah.
Can you explain like the alligator method you said where it becomes -1 and then less than, yeah, like the first part, because I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so if I said the absolute value is equal, what would you, how do you get rid of the absolute values? Either, I didn't need to change anything, it
Or
was
it's-
positive.
Or it's negative.
Okay, so that's when it was an equality. Now that it's an inequality, either, again, it made no difference. or the opposite of this was less than 1.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. And before class, someone asked about how to write the equation of a line. The way that I wanna see it. We have beaten this into you forever, that now I need to get you to change gears so that you don't lose credit for a perfectly correct answer. I was told that slope, on that first day, you guys said slope is equal to change in y over change in x. So change in y is y minus y over x minus x. I'm gonna cross multiply this slope business. Y minus the y value equals slope times x minus the x value. Like, first of all, do you all agree this is the equation for slope? And you remember that from geometry? Okay, so cross multiply, this is the equation that I want for a straight line. David, pick a fraction slope for us.
130.
Pick a coordinate. Pick a coordinate,
5.
okay? So if I ask you to give me the equation of the line with a slope of 1/3 that goes through that coordinate, y minus the y value equals slope times x minus the x value. Leave it there. Yes, you can go through and distribute the 1/3, and let's see if I can do it in my head without getting it wrong. 50-50 chance. So you could do that. Did I do it wrong?
No.
No, you're right.
50-50, this time of day. However, that was risky of me, because I had to distribute and reduce and then add to the other side, not think that I was subtracting, because sometimes I do that. So, took more steps and more thinking, yeah.
So if we put it in y equals mx plus b, we'll get
It's
0.12?
not, if, okay.
Well, I won't, but I'm just curious if I forget.
First of all, I get grumpy at you because my answer key, I have this, and
Okay.
there's always one of you that goes through it. I'm like, just for you, Max, I gotta go through and like solve for y. If you did the arithmetic wrong, this would have been right, and then you did a whole bunch of work and spent time to get it wrong. Like, if you make a mistake, no love, honey, it's wrong. So that's my motivation to you is, you had it right, stop. Don't waste your time, just stop. Okay. What else was there? Okay, did you guys have specific questions you wanted to make sure we covered for tomorrow? Yeah,
Can you set that question?
50. Yeah. This one is just finding the domain, which is, what are all the x values we're not allowed to do? Can you guys give it a try? Not, no, it's more complicated than that. 1 times 1 times square root of 0? 0 times 0 times 0 is 0. However, you're right, we do still need to throw them out because it's in the denominator, I can't divide by 0. But I can square root. Can I still have a whole with things that aren't whole? This is crazy, right? Like, we didn't ask you anything like this in pre-cal.
Domain, the whole doesn't matter.
This domain, the whole doesn't matter. So domain is just asking, what x values am I not allowed to plug in? Okay, in the numerator, am I allowed to do cube root of negatives?
Yes.
Yes, they're all okay. Am I allowed to do cube root of 0?
Yes.
Yes, so the numerator is just a red herring to make you waste your time. Doesn't matter what's up there, I'm allowed to do anything. Cube root of 8, 2. Cube root of negative 8, negative 2. Cube root of 0, 0. They're all good. That one's fine. The denominator's the problem. Am I allowed to do the square root of anything? What am I not allowed to do square root of?
Negative.
Negatives. Square root of 0 is okay. Because square root of 0, what times itself is 0? 0. But then I can't divide by it. So I can square root it, but I can't have it in the denominator. All right, so I need to know. I'm just gonna find where is it equal to 0 and then deal with it. I was told factor it, so Hayden, how does it factor?
X minus 6 and x plus 5.
Zach, what do I do with the numbers?
You plug, wait, so from there, what I did was, oh yeah, you have to do the number line. And then you can just plug in numbers, like if you plug in 1, then it's not gonna work because it would end up being a negative in the square root.
Okay, so, and I'll make it easier on myself, I'm gonna pick 0. So a negative times a positive, that region's gonna be negative, and you're right, I need to throw those out because looking in context, I don't want square roots of negatives, can't do those. Putting in 8,000, checking each factor, I get a positive times a positive. So those guys are okay. Putting in negative 8,000, I get a negative times a negative, which ends up being positive. So I'm allowed to do square roots of positives, I'm allowed to divide by positives. Am I allowed to do square root of 0? I can do square root of 0, but can I divide by that? No. So my domain, negative infinity to negative 5, and 6 to infinity. Round brackets. What if this was turned upside down? Logan, what if the problem was, I'll leave it factored. This guy, reciprocal. How does that change my domain now? Okay, so now, is there anything tricky in the numerator that I need to throw out? I'm not dividing by 0 at 6 and 5, negative 5 from the numerator's perspective anymore, but there's still something illegal in the numerator. No square roots of negatives, so I'm still gonna throw out negative 5 to 6. Okay, they're still not allowed, that whole region. Where is the denominator doing a divide by 0? 6. Okay, all right. So negative infinity, not 8. To negative 5. Do I think Max is saying yes, include 5? Because why?
Because it's in the numerator now, so it's perfectly fine there, so it doesn't get 0.
Because it's in the numerator now, it's perfectly fine. Go right ahead, we can square root that 0. Okay, but this whole section in here numerator, denominator, doesn't matter, I would be doing square root of a negative, can't do it, throw those out. Picking up at 6 on the other side to infinity, and you're gonna tell me now,
You have to do parentheses.
parentheses, cause
6, it'll be 0 in the denominator, which obviously won't work.
divide by 0 is still there. So, the function looks really, really different, but the answer is very similar. Get the wrinkles? Not happy about the wrinkles? Were there other questions from brain training or the packet that you want to talk about? Because I can show you guys graphs. There are some things that I will remind you of as we go through the year, but I get. Sine and cosine. We do kind of want you to know what they look like. Sine, it's the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. High, low, or in the middle? Where does it start? In the middle. What's the domain? All the numbers that ever could be numbers. What's the range? Thank you. -1 to 1, inclusive. Is it an even or odd function? Odd. How can you tell? It's symmetric about the origin, so it never works. If I try and turn that red line upside down, well, there. Trying to turn just the red one, but you'll see the same thing. So it's odd. Sine inverse. Graphically, what are we looking at to see if a function has a clean inverse? Don't know what I'm asking. It needs to pass not just the vertical line test, but the horizontal line test. Horizontal line crosses all over the place. So for an inverse, I need to restrict it so that I can, okay, working my brain. That's sine inverse. Inputs. We say, when is sine -1? That's sine inverse of -1. The calculator will give you exactly one answer, which is -π/2. It hits -1 all over the place, an infinite number of places, but restricted, it's only ever gonna tell you that. And the stuff that comes out on the high end, it's gonna give you a positive π/2. So sine is restricted, sine inverse. And the reason for these being restricted to -π/2 is really the graph. But I told you guys yesterday, like, well, cosine, sine, and tangent, go to the nearest quadrant and go the short way around. Let's see, Aubrey, cosine starts high, low, or in the middle?
High.
High. Domain, same deal. Range, -1 to 1. Even, odd, neither? Even, because folds over the y-axis. This also fails the horizontal line test, it's not 1 to 1. So doing inverse, we restrict. What goes in is also -1 to 1, and what comes out, 0 to pi. Negative ratios for cosine inverse, -1, pi. cosine inverse negative 1/2, 5 pi over 6. Okay. Issues? Yeah. One that the AP exam is obsessed with though, absolutely enamored. You will see it several times, several ways on the AP exam, which means you'll see it a lot here too. They love tangent, and its inverse, and its derivatives, and its antiderivative of the inverse, like they love them all. What does tangent look like? Okay, you guys are doing the air writing good? It's that over and over and over again. The restriction is really, really nice. Arctan. Where are these vertical asymptotes on tangent? Pi over 2. Just to be mean. The domain is all reals except what? How do I say except those places? What?
Let's say K pi over 2.
When K is 4, it's on there. So I need something else. You're close.
Is it plus?
Plus K.
Pi over 2 plus K pi.
Okay. So we just said 1/2 pi plus a whole number of pi. Does that work? So now if K is 2, I get 5 pi over 2. If K is 1, I get 3 pi over 2. If K is negative 1, I get negative pi over 2. You agreeing with the answer or no? No?
Whenever sine 0, it's like plus pi related.
I mean, this is working. Another, like, the way I talk about it in pre-cal is I want all of the odd halves of pi. So, all right, pi over 2 times an odd number. I don't know how to get an odd number, but if you give me any whole number, how can you guarantee you're going to make that whole number even?
Multiplied by 2.
Multiply by 2. And then right next door to every even number is an odd. So you can go up 1 or down 1. That's odd numbers of pi over 2. All right. But the AP exam, they love this because there's 2 naturally occurring horizontal asymptotes. It's kind of funky, kind of weird, a little unusual. What's the domain of tan inverse? Domain, what goes in, any number, what comes out? What are the y values that come out?
When y is not equal to pi over 2 plus K pi.
There's like 0 and pi over 7. There's a whole bunch of work. What is this lower asymptote? To the upper asymptote. Can I hit those? No. All right. Any other questions before you guys have your quiz? First assessment in here tomorrow. Besides How many questions on it? How hard is it? And am I gonna cry afterwards? I've had both of my children actually as students. That was a horrible experience. They didn't cry in front of me. They still talk to me now, so that's good. Yay. And one of them even in college, she was like, Mom, this is a really good worksheet. I still have it. I will tell you about it and they'll be like, hey, you wanna laminate it? This one's great, so I'm told. And there were students that came back from this year, going to college in the Netherlands, and he's like, yeah, Cap 1 and 2, easy. Passed this class, that was easy. So, you know, it's all for good reasons. Just kidding. It's not as hot as it was Monday. You guys are still melting. I have fans on. Great. If you don't have questions, I don't have more stuff to tell you. Does anyone in here know anyone else, everyone else's name, I should say? I don't know